Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel once again. I hope you're all having an amazing day and I've got a really cool video to show you guys as always. Quite a lot has been going on lately and I just want to get all this information across to you guys. So first off, I want to say that accidentally the last video I had, returning characters, was mistranslated. I apologize for this extremely. The translation was very close to that, it was just mistranslated unfortunately. These things do happen. Translating from another language can be a very complicated process, and it is quite easy to make mistranslations because you got the wrong implication or you translate a word loosely instead of directly, vice versa. It can get awkward anyway. I want people on this channel to be as informed as possible, so I'm just retconning the fact right here that we didn't get confirmation for it yesterday, so we don't know if there's going to be multiple returning characters. We don't know if Adder, Shiva, and other people are going to be in the game 100%, so that is a little bit unfortunate, but I would like to say that they are, in my opinion, going to be appearing at the end or something like that. Now, the second thing is, this is loosely translated as well, so take this at your own peril. Now, I don't know how far this is going, but it does seem like weapon customization is actually going to be removed from Resident Evil 7. The ability to upgrade your character, which increases stuff like your reload speed, is going to be the way to go, so it's going to be more like an RPG, it seems, rather than customizing weapons themselves. You will customize your character by finding bird cages around the environment, which you can unlock with coins. You find these coins in the environment also, and you will be able to use them to upgrade yourself at the bird cages, where you can get extra reload speed, for example, or things like that. And the reason for this is apparently because there is going to be a large plethora of weapons in the game, so if you have a large plethora of weapons, you don't need to customize each weapon. But this kind of confuses me because we saw the Magnum and it had a specific Magnum ammo type for it. I can't remember, it was like .44 or something, right? Why would you have a specific type of Magnum ammunition if you've got different Magnums in the game? Do they all have different types? I don't know, but that would be really terrible if that was the case, for obvious reasons, because you had too many weapons to have too many ammo types for. You'd just be lost. The only other thing I can assume is that there is just a single Magnum in the game. Now, onto the really awesome news, however. We've got a new Spanish article. Now, this covers tons of new information. We've got new screenshots, new gaming mechanics, a little bit of depth into the boss battles, and we've also got our official confirmation, really, of the boss battles. The journalist behind the article had about 3 hours to play the full main game, so that's absolutely amazing. And if you're into Resident Evil 7, you'll be dying to know about all this information. I'll also be using some information that's been released by Capcom lately. You guys must have seen my last video that showed a lot of new gameplay. A lot of journalists were allowed to play the first 4 to 5 hours of the game, so I'll be showing some of the information from that in this video too. I think a common misconception is going to go around though, and it would be good if you guys can get the word around that the build these journalists got to play was not actually the full build. It doesn't look like the start of the game was where you're going to actually start out. I'll also show later in the video why, but it looks like some things were intentionally removed to avoid story spoilers. So without any further delay, let's just get right into it as always. So it starts out with the ESRB leaking a few details we already know of. The game will have us playing Ethan, and he goes to a house in Dulvey, Louisiana, trying to find his wife. Now, the interesting thing about this is that his wife is named Mia Winters, so now we have confirmation of Ethan's last name. If you guys know, it is common for the woman to take the male partner's name in marriage, in America especially, and so Ethan is named Ethan Winters, which is a really nice name. Once there, he will meet the Bakers, which are a missing family whose members have the rare ability to regenerate their bodies and be immortal. They are not alone because there will be a decrepit old woman and a girl who will also have many scars to give us. The next page says the gloomy setting is just the first layer of the onion that is Resident Evil 7. The knife will be the first weapon we will find, and the bugs you can see in the picture will have a large presence in certain parts of the game. A mysterious character will call us many times and will be a big part of the story. The members of the Baker family will suddenly appear to give us lots of jump scares, but we will also find some vicious monsters called holograms. I'll elaborate on that later, guys. And of course, final bosses. We have seen 3, and in one of them we can face it using a car. Anybody that is watching the video closely or has been up to date with my videos will probably know this sounds like the encounter with Jack Baker. I wouldn't be getting too much hopes up that we'll be able to drive the car itself. It sounds like we'll be able to initiate a prompt or something where we drive it into the wall and explode it, setting him on fire. And a few of the last things that I want to mention are that the old woman is going to be appearing at certain points in the game, and when you turn around she's going to have disappeared. This is very supernatural, and I assume that that's going to be a context clue to show you that the little ghost girl is coming or some supernatural elements are about to appear. That would make a lot of sense to me, as from a game design perception they always throw out context clues for you to be able to understand how to progress or what to expect. For example, when you're playing a puzzle game and you see a block that has different shading than the rest of the blocks and you can jump into it, you know that there is something that's going to activate from that. It's a contextual clue. I think that the old woman is going to play this role specifically. If my leak is to be believed, I assume this is where the supernatural elements seriously are going to play, and the game is going to seem very much like a ghost game. However, I do believe there will be a rational explanation. I've covered a theory that Ethan is infected, and it seems in one of the recent interviews where a journalist had 5 hours of gameplay under his belt, they saw that Ethan was injecting a serum into the hand that was able to even regrow his limbs. This kind of confirms the possibility of Ethan being infected, like I said, and it's kind of like what Resident Evil 4 was supposed to be when Leon was infected and he was seeing hallucinations of supernatural things. I think that's definitely going to be the case here. It would be the most logical explanation, as ghosts don't actually exist and Resident Evil hasn't ever shown supernatural elements like that before that have no explanation and are actually demonic or something. I think this twist would have been absolutely amazing had they not shown it before, and especially if we didn't know about what Resident Evil 4 was supposed to be. Now, talking about what was dubbed as the holograms in the Spanish article before, a little bit more has been revealed about them. It seems their official dub, or at least from what was shown, are the Moulders. This is the creature in the Shadow demo, and I had a picture of it before. I'll show it here again. It seems that you'll have to dismember these creatures to kill them, and they're going to be very tough. They'll also be slow moving and very erratic. I'd say you should get some Silent Hill vibes from these creatures especially, which honestly I think's amazing. They also seem to be located in the basement of the Baker's mansion exclusively. Journalists are reporting after having left the area not seeing them again at all. However, if you're going to play this game in VR, do know that apparently they ooze through the walls and through the cracks in the floorboards to form up in front and behind of you. Now that sounds crazy. There's also reports of fly-like creatures emerging from cocoons, as well as other interactions with bugs. I'm also reading reports about bugs blocking doors and being a larger part of the game. I'm not exactly sure how important that is, but based on the trailer that we saw, bugs are definitely going to be playing a major part. It looks like a variety of wildlife is going to be infected. I'm kind of getting T-virus tones from this, to be honest, and that's really cool. The game has so many throwbacks to Resident Evil 1. It's just as a Resident Evil fan, I'm so hyped to play this game. Unfortunately, I don't have a PlayStation VR, and that is honestly the biggest thing that is getting me down. I wish I had a PlayStation VR. I wish I could experience all these creatures, the Bakers, the mansion. I wish I could look at the guns up close and look around them and look at the magazines and the little IDs on the side. I've played Oculus Rift, and the variety of objects you get and how close you can look at them. Like, you can even rotate yourself so that your head's in front of your own gun's barrel, and you can look down the barrel of your gun. That is amazing. I just wish I could experience that. Unfortunately, I can't. However, I will still enjoy the PC version for what I can have for the experience. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic regardless. There seems to be so much information lately, guys. I would be expecting the demo soon as well, and there is a lot more information coming out on the game, and a lot more journalists are reporting different things, so I'll be updating the channel quite a lot lately, as there is sure to be a plethora of information coming out, and I'm sure if you guys want to know more about the game, now is going to be the time most of the juicy details are released. One of the things that honestly has me the most excited is it seems crests are making a return. Now, if you guys remember, in a lot of the Resident Evil games, you had to get specific crests to unlock doors. Now, you could see a door that had a specific crest, let's say the lion crest. Now, you might not find that crest until 3 hours later, and you have progressed far beyond at that point, but you remember that door, and you can go back and unlock that door. You can track back, completely ignoring the objective you're supposed to do, and you can get a bunch of extra goodies. These crests and things are back in the game, and this is absolutely fantastic. Like I've said before, if anyone doubted this is a Resident Evil game, your doubts have been completely quelled. The only real difference from Resident Evil 1 here, to be honest, is just the camera view and the family involved. The atmosphere, as well as the way the game's mechanics are going to play out and the way we unlock the areas, the formula, everything is structured in a similar way to Resident Evil 1. We're even going to be exploring a mansion and the areas surrounding it. The one last thing I want to mention is there was an excerpt from a journalist who had played the game, and here it is. I also found diary entries and handwritten letters scattered throughout the plantation that hinted at things to come. Now, we know it's quite common for games to have diary entries that have references to events that you're going to experience. The estate's greenhouse, for instance, mentioned briefly in one of the baker's notes, would later become the scene for one of the more horrific things I saw. There is the proof for that. Another note mentioned a beached boat on down by the swamp's edge. I didn't see any such boat during the demo, but I suspect we may when the game finally releases in January. If you guys remember in my leak video, I did say there is going to be a BOW in the water you're going to have to fight that is quite large, and it was reminiscent of a boss from Resident Evil 4, and if you guys have played the game, you'll know that scene like the back of your hand. Considering that these diary entries are foreshadowing for events in the game, like I said, this could be confirmation for that event. It's just a possibility, but that sounds awesome. Let me know if you think that's actually going to happen in the game, if you believe that, because like I said, nothing's confirmed until we actually get our hands on the game itself. Until we actually get it, it could all be an elaborate troll, but based on all the information we have seen released, it's looking good. Anyway guys, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed the content, and there is much more to come soon. If you did enjoy this, please leave a like and a subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. Take it easy and peace.